Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty and fashion trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered.
Welcome to the GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and let's just get into some beauty stuff. So, let's talk about what we've talked about in the past few podcasts. So, we talked about, I went through my makeup collection, part of my makeup collection, and talked to you about the things that are in there and what I like and what I don't like and I need to continue to try and use and that kind of stuff. And then I also talked about, in my last podcast, the, some upcoming launches and what I was interested in and just kind of explaining to you guys what I liked and what I didn't like. So I thought today, since we had gone through the collection, or my collection, then we talked about different collections coming out, that I would go through some of the stuff that I talked about and try and reuse it. And while I'm talking to you guys can kind of see my process and all that kind of fun jazz. So I didn't end up buying the Jeffree Star palette. It's $54 that I couldn't justify buying, but I did end up getting a product that I didn't talk about in the last podcast, that I will be doing a podcast on the minute it gets here, so you guys can kind of see some other new stuff that I didn't talk about and I actually purchased. So let's start off by saying what I've already done to my face so you guys don't have to listen to me put all that kind of jazz on. So I've already put on my skincare and my primers and my eyebrows because I don't have anything that I haven't already been using a lot that I'm going, that I don't have anything new for my eyebrows or anything that I found in my collection that I haven't used in a while. So the main thing that made me want to do this is my Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette. And I had told you guys before that I had an issue using it and I didn't really like the way they work together and stuff like that, but that I was going to keep trying it and see what works out the best. So I'm going to do that with you guys today, and that's going to be the main focus, but I have some other stuff that I haven't used in a while that I think we should use, so we're getting our money's worth for stuff that I've bought. That's just kind of what this is, and to show you guys, the things that I have and we haven't talked about, to show you how it works, like explain to you how it works, and kind of if maybe this is something you want to pick up yourself. Alright, so first I want to talk about the brushes I'm using today. I'm actually only going to be using 2 brushes. Now, this is kind of to show that you don't need a million brushes to do everything with, and also because if I'm doing a look on myself, I'm usually only using 2 brushes unless I'm going into something crazy. And I'm going to be using a Morphe brush. There's no number on this. I'm using a little Morphe brush, which is a little dense, fluffy brush. And I'm going to be using the It Brushes for Ulta brush. So it's an It Cosmetic brush, but you can buy these at Ulta. And this is a double-ended brush. It's the crease/concealer brush. Now, the crease brush is very fluffy, and the concealer side is a kind of flatter brush. I like to pack on some shimmers with that. So let's get into the Jaclyn Hill palette. Wait, did I put on primer? I didn't! This is really going to elevate any look you do and help the shadows stick properly is if you use a a primer and eyeshadow primer. So I'm using the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion, the anti-aging one. I just like this personally for myself. I'm just going to put that on my eyes, blend it out and up with my fingers, and let that sit for just a second. I like to let my eye primer sit to kind of dry out. I'm not going to set this with powder. I'm going to leave it as is. Now let's open up this palette and look at what we can do with it. So like I said before when I was talking about my issues with this, is there's no big mirror in the palette and it's got a big top to it. So I know it's not going to let me flip it backwards, so I'm just going to keep it open, and I'm looking into a tiny mirror that's in front of me. So we've got a lot of neutral shades, and then we've got some crazy ones down here in the far left corner. So I'm going to start off, I'm not going to go back and forth between the names on the back, because the names are not in the palette. I'm just going to tell you where they are in each row. I'm going to start off with the top row and the third color in, and that's going to be my transition shade here. I'm going to take the fluffier brush, the IT Cosmetics, and I'm going to just start blending that into my crease, starting on the outer edge and kind of going around the outer edge of my eyelid. I like that look personally for myself. Obviously, I will be posting the photo of this finished look as I usually do with these. And I'm doing the same on the other eye, just as a nice little transition shade. It's a nice little warm brown color, nothing too special, warm tannish color. Now I'm going to take my mirror and face the window. If you've been with me, you know that this is the best way to kind of check it out. And I'm going to look and see if I need to add more onto one eye or the other. I'm going to add the smidgen bit more on my left eye because I feel like that needs a little bit more color. Once again, I'm using windshield wiper motions back and forth through my crease with this color and little circular motions more towards the end of my eyelid. And kind of going back and forth between eyes, getting all that product off my brush and onto my eyeballs. Now we're looking sufficiently blended. It's still a little light for me. I don't know. I like colors that kind of pack a punch, but I don't want something that's going to be so pigmented that I lay it down and it's just there and I can't build upon it. So, man, what are we going to do next? Let's go directly under that color in the second row, which is a more deeper brown color, still a little bit warm, and we're going to stick that with the smaller brush just on the outer corner and up into the crease a little bit, not all the way through the crease, just a little bit through the crease. I haven't talked through an actual, eyeshadow, I guess tutorial or an eyeshadow look as much as I've talked through more skin-based looks. So, I'm laying that product down first, and then I'm going to buff it out with the more fluffy brush, the one that we used earlier to put the crease color down. Now, I'm going to keep doing this and adding as I feel I need per eye to make sure that I'm doing it even. I'm not the kind of person that likes to do one eye at a time. I like to do both eyes so I can get things as even as possible. And I'm noticing that my left eye still needs a little more. I'm neglecting the left eye today. Let me tell you, dipping back in. Remember to tap off with majority, but I feel like when I tap off with this, nothing comes off the brush. Just letting you know that in this specific palette, I noticed that when I tap off to go tap off the excess, I'm not getting anything coming off the brush. So I'm kind of not tapping unless I feel I really need to tap off. I'm adding a little bit of this back into the left side to add a little more definition, and I'm going to blend once again with my fluffy brush. Now I'm going to make sure these are even and continue on with some more fun stuff in just a second. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll move on to some brighter, more fun colors. So we're not just doing a natural look like I've been doing in every single one. So I'll be right back.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break, and this entire podcast, you are listening to me while I talk you through using products that I don't gravitate towards much, that are in my collection, and also things that I feel like I've had some issues with in the past, and I'm trying them again to try and get things to work properly, because I want to get the most bang for my buck. Like, that's really what it is. I want to get the most bang for my buck, so I'm going to use products, whether it's in one way or another, to their full capacity. So right before we took a break, I was starting out with my eyeshadow, and I'm using the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and this is the first one, not the new one that came out. So this is the palette 1 or whatnot. And I just took 2 more neutral brown shades and put them in my crease, deepening up the edge with a darker brown than the one I put all the way through my crease. I'm happy with the blend and the way that it's looking so far. And I'm going to take my smaller little brush and dip in to this more reddy, rusty tone color that I'm seeing, which is 5 shades in on the second row. And I'm going to start with that one, tap into it, and kind of build a little on the edge here, just dabbing it on in the space that I want it. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And like I said earlier, I'm not tapping off the excess when it comes to this specific palette, because I notice that when I tap off the excess with this palette, nothing comes off. I don't know if it's just the formula itself or what it is, but that's how it's working for me. I'm taking the brush that still's got a little bit of product on it and making sure I stamp down close to my lash line in the edge so I don't have a gap between my lash line and the shadow that I'm about to blend out. So I've set that in a place I like, and I'm going to take my fluffier brush and I'm going to do circular motions right where I set it. I'm not really blending it anywhere else. I'm going to take it a little bit into the crease, but not as far as any of the other colors we've already put down. Now, there's not a lot to go crazy when it comes to this palette, but I'm just trying to try out colors that I haven't tried in this palette, maybe thinking that, I wasn't using it properly or what I was doing wrong. So I like to lay down shadows and then blend out as I see fit, so I get them exactly where I want and the most pigmented areas exactly where I want. So now I'm going to turn towards my window, like I always do, and check out what I'm looking at. That is a beautiful color. I'm going to blend a little bit more on my right eye. And I think we might do a red halo eye today. So I'm going to take that same brush into that same red color, and I'm going to put it on the inner corner of my eye, stamping it like I was on the outer corner, right on that inner corner area. And I'm just going to stamp, and I'm going to do the same on the other eye. I like a good halo eye. I'm not a big fan of a cut crease. So a good halo eye is, I think, a beautiful alternative. So stamping, finding it where I like it, and then taking that blending brush and once again, blending in circular motions. And this time I'm going to take the top bit and bring that into my crease to connect it to the outer bit. Just a little bit. I'm not blending it upwards. I'm just blending it together. And I'm going to tap, 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 and blend. I like to tap when it comes to the inner corner so that I'm not moving the product like way up into my tear duct and all the way up to my eyebrow. Not a fan of that. Just personally not a fan of that. And a lot of times that can make things look really muddy and like you don't know what you're doing. I'm a professional, I should know. So turning back to the window, I'm loving the way that this is looking. I'm going to take whatever's left excess on my blending brush and just blend through the crease. Just through, not up, not down, just through to meld all the colors together. I'm going to take a good look and maybe add a little bit of the excess that's on my denser brush back into that inner corner just to build the pigment a bit. This is a good way to do it without dipping back in because you still have product left on that brush. Just remember, if you're going to keep dipping into the shadow and then going straight on, you're adding more pigment on top of the pigment that you haven't got rid of in the brush. So we're looking significantly haloed. There is a space in the center of my lid where I'm going to put a shimmery color, and I'm loving the way that everything's looking. Maybe add a little more red, so I am dipping back, but I'm going to kind of dab it off on my palette here and add the slightest bit more pigment in the inner corner just because I want a little more, doing that same thing, dabbing off, and just a little bit more pigment, and then I'm going to blend. Blend and blend and blend. That's the whole thing here, is blending. I want a beautiful blend. And because I added more on the inner corner, I might need to add more on the outer corner. Remember that with a halo eye, you're really trying to have the same amount of pigment on the outer and the inner, just not as much, not more on the inner than on the outer, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a little ridiculous, but I love this so far, and these shadows are actually working a lot better for me today. I don't know if it was just the day, if it was the brushes I was using, or what it was, but I am sufficiently, happy with the way that I'm doing this. And also I want to talk about the fact that I'm doing my eyeshadow before my base. Now I do this always, and just so I do this on clients as well, just so that if I get any fallout, I don't have to fix any sort of mistake. I don't have to go and re-add foundation or do whatever to their face because I have fallout. And a lot of times, even when you wipe fallout away, it still kind of is there. And so like adding more makeup on just makes it look a little cakey, and sometimes you can see that color through there. So that's why I do this first. I did put my skincare on first because I wanted it to really sink into my skin, and the same with my primer. I did do those first, and then I did my eyebrows after. The eyebrows I can do whenever. I just like to do them first so I don't forget them. So now I want to look at all the shimmery colors and kind of decide what I think is going to go the prettiest in the center of this. There's a lot of different coppery tones and pinky tones in the upper right-hand corner, and in the lower left-hand corner there's more purplies and blues, but there's kind of shimmers throughout in a weird shape here. I'm just saying. So I want to really find a shimmer that I think is going to work the best with this look specifically. One good way to do this is to put the shimmer on your finger and kind of hold it up next to your eye, so you can kind of get a like sense of what it would look like next to the colors that are already put down on your eye. And once again, remember to look into natural lighting. This is going to be the best way to see any imperfections or issues, and the best color, or the best way to see the actual color that you're looking at. A lot of times the fluorescent lights or whatever lighting you're underneath in your house are going to give make the colors look a little bit different. Also, the best place to look is the mirror of truth, which is your car mirror, which I always look at my makeup in my car mirror after I do it. It's just a given, which I might not do today because it's raining outside. So I'm going to take a quick break, kind of look at these colors and decide what's going to go best with this eye. And when we get back, we're going to continue on with some sparkly.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we've been talking about, and I'm demonstrating, products that are in my collection that I haven't used in a while or I had issues with in the past, just to kind of see if I can get them to work now or if there's other alternative ways to get them to work. Now, before the break, I was working on a halo eye with the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, the first volume, not the second one, not the new one, and not the Volt ones. This is the first one she came out with in collaboration with Morphe. Now, I have a rusty kind of halo going on, and I'm going to add a shimmer. Now, I was thinking about adding a lighter shimmer, but I think I'm going to go into this coppery tone that's right next to the color we just used, which is on the second row, and it's the 6th shade to the right. So we're going to go in with this coppery color. I'm going to take the flat end of my IT Cosmetics brush, and I'm going to dip that in there, kind of coat the brush. I'm not going to tap off since it's a shimmer. I haven't been tapping off even though I prefer it that way. I'm going to close my eye. I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to find the area that is the lightest, and I'm really going to just kind of pack that in the center. Now, it's not giving me a lot of shimmer from the brush. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about that, but I'm going to do the same on the other eye just to even it out. My white shirt is getting in all of these eyeshadows. Nice. This is why I can't wear white, because it's either covered in chocolate or covered in makeup. Fun. Anybody else like that? Like, that's just me. So doing the same thing on the other eye, kind of coloring in my empty space in the middle. And it's just not really getting the color that I want it. So there's a few ways I could go about this. I could spray my brush with my setting spray, or I can do it by my finger. So I'm going to start first by adding a little bit with my finger here. So I'm going to take my ring finger, I'm going to take my middle finger, because my nail is the shortest on my middle finger. And I'm going to dip in. I'm going to take a look at that. That's a beautiful copper. And I'm going to press it on the center of the lid. See, that gives me a lot more pigment, but this is a little dark for this halo eye. I'm going to do the same on the other eye, and then I'll show you how to fix this up. And we're going to use another product that I had issues with to fix this. So this is looking good. I need to pat around the edges to really blend in to the rest of this look. And I like the way it looks. Now we're going to take I need a paper towel so I can rub off this color. Let me find one of those. Got it. Okay. Rub off that color on my fingers so I don't get it all over everything. And I'm going to actually take that smaller, denser brush we took earlier and go into a deeper copper ready tone, which is the third row, 5 shades in. I'm going to dip into that, and I'm going to put that on the outer edge and the inner edge of my eye to deepen up that and make this color appear a lot lighter than it was looking. This is a good way to fix, is to just deepen the outer and inner corner to really kind of lighten that color in the middle. But we are going to add another thing on top of this, which is going to be a different product. So stay with me. Stay with me. I'm going to take my fluffy blending brush and I'm going to blend that out. And I might have to add a little more, just depending on how it's looking here. Now, we really want darker edges and a brighter middle. That's the whole point of a halo-esque eye. Now, what are we looking at? See? Okay. See, this is an issue I'm having. On my left eye, it's looking a lot more blended, or a lot less blended than my right eye. I don't know what's going on here, so I'm just going to take that brush and blend every edge to try and make things look a little bit more cohesive and less ridiculous. Now, let's move on to a different product, because it's still looking a little dark in the center of my lid, and I'm going for halo. I'm going for bright and beautiful in the center. So let's take a product that I've actually talked about in my Target, my new products at Target. I'm just rubbing off my sparkly end of the brush, the flat end of the brush, on a paper towel, and I'm going to go into my e.l.f. Jelly Highlighter. Remember this? If you listen to that podcast, you'll know. I had some issues blending this out on the cheeks as a highlight, but I'm not going to use it on my cheeks today. I'm going to use it on my eyelids, which I've done this before and found that it works a lot better on the eyelids. I'm going to take that flat brush and dip into the jelliness. It's such a weird consistency. Okay, and then I'm going to pack that on the center of the lid, and I'm going to take my finger really quick and really start to blend that out before it dries down, because this stuff dries. It dries and then it doesn't move. Already, that's looking so much better. That just lightened up that color in the center. This is a trick that I use a lot anyway with any highlighter, is putting a highlighter in the center over that shimmery color to sort of change the color, and not only change the color, but also add a sparklier finish to the center. I'm going to do the same on this other eye here. Take that finger, blend real quick. Once again, this will stick the moment you put it down if you don't just immediately blend. So we're looking pretty beautiful today. I'm loving this halo eye thing I've got going on here. I'm going to leave it at that for now and move on to the under eye. Now, a lot of people do the under eye after they do their base products, but I prefer kind of to do it right away and then work around it. That's just my personal preference. Again, this is all due to your personal preference. This is just how I would use these products, and so far they're looking okay. Still had a little bit of issues with the coppery tone, the deeper, more brick red tone, I guess, in the Jaclyn Hill palette. It didn't blend the way I would have liked it to. It's looking a little more muddy than my personal preference. Sorry, I am also wiping off the jelly highlighter from the flat end of my brush, otherwise it will get everywhere. But I'm liking the way that it's turning out now that I've kind of just took a moment to blend. And that's something I want to talk about too, is if you're having issues with eyeshadows blending, really take a second and keep blending. Now, the best way to do this is to take a clean blending brush and just blend over everything, just continue. And sometimes it takes a while, but you can really get products to the place you want them if you just continue to blend and blend and blend and blend and blend. And that's kind of where I have gone now, is I just continue to blend to get to the blend that I want. Now I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do the under eye and move on to some more products, not new products, more products.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, before the break in this entire podcast, I'm going through some stuff in my collection that I haven't used in a while, or stuff that I had issues using and using them again to kind of try and make them work, that kind of thing. So, we just did an eye with the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, the first one, and I did have a little issues blending, and it just took some extra time. But I did get it to this beautiful kind of coppery halo-esque eye going on. And I also used the e.l.f. Jelly highlighter that I couldn't really get to work as a regular highlighter in the center of my lids to help brighten up the center part of this halo eye. Now let's go on to the under eye. I'm taking my small little dense fluffy brush that I had dipped into different rusty, the coppery tones, and I'm going to take that, what's left on the brush, and I'm going to run that underneath the outer third of my eye. And I'm going to do the same on the other eye. Now, I like to use what's left on the brush so I don't get too much product underneath my eye. I only want a little bit of product underneath my eye. If I do too much and then I try and blend it, it's going to go down. It's going to go really far down, and that's not what I'm looking for, especially today. I'm not looking for a panda eye today. Sometimes that's the look. Sometimes that is definitely the look, but today that is not the look whatsoever. So I'm going to look at this, see how I'm liking it. Okay. Let's talk about this. It left a weird streak, just like a line, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to grab that fluffier brush that we used earlier and kind of concentrate it right there and see if I can't fix that line that it just had. I don't know why it's doing this. It's these redder tones in this palette. I usually don't have issues with red tones. I don't know what it is today, but see, this is why I'm showing you this, or talking to you about this, because a lot of times products have issues and you really just kind of have to find a way that works. Okay, so that kind of fixed it. We're going to move on to the face, and I'm going to fix everything up last. So I went and put on my foundation, and I didn't want to do it on here since I've done my foundation on podcast a million times, and I used the Pixie H2O Skin Tint. I'm still using it from the Target video, and I really like the way that it looks, and I'm loving the way that it's making my skin look today in combination with what I used as a primer. And so I'm going to move on to something we've done here before, but I'm going to add to it. And that would be my bronzer / contour. So I'm going to start off with my cream bronzer. This is my Milk matte bronzer in the color Baked. I'm going to warm it up on the back of my hand and add a bunch of product there. Then I'm going to set it down and take the butt end of my Wet n Wild Beauty Sponge, and I'm going to start and bronze the cheekbones. Now, I like to put it on the back of my hand and then do it because I can pick up minimal product and build up as need be. So I don't know if you can hear that. I wonder if you can. Let's see. Is that some ASMR? I don't know. I don't even know if you could hear that. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I want to make things look as even as possible. So I always go side and then another side. And I don't move on to anything else until I feel that I've gotten what I need out of it. Now I'm going to take my mirror once again, spin towards my light source, look at how I'm liking it. It's blending weird on one side of my face, so I'm going to just kind of keep bouncing that until I get it to a point where I'm happy. Now, I'm going to take the side of my Beauty Blender, which has no product on it, and kind of go over that a little bit because we're going to be adding on top of this. Now, I'm putting my cream products down first because I'm going to be doing powder. Shocker. If you've been with me for a minute here on the podcast, you'll know that I'm really not one for powder products, except for eyeshadows, and I'm really big on the cream products because I love the natural look that it gives you. But I used to use a lot of powder products for a lot of different things, and so I have a lot, and I want to get the best bang for my buck, as I've been saying, and I want to get the best out of my products and the most use. So I'm going to add some powder products on top of these cream products to really enhance them and hopefully still keep that natural look that I am going for. Since I'm continuing with cream products right now, I'm going to take my MAC cream color base in Pearl, which is, if you know, my favorite highlighter, and I'm going to take that on the pointy end of my sponge. My Wet n Wild sponge has a flat side, so I do it on the flat end at the point, and then I'm going to put that on where I want my highlighter and my high points of my face. I'm going to do that. Ooh, I'm liking the way that's looking, and I'm going to do the other side. We are looking natural glowy, which is everything I want in my life. We're going to do a tiny bit on the forehead. I like the way that looks. I'm really going for the places that catch the light the most naturally in points, so I'm going to look up and down and kind of see where I'm catching the light and stick with those areas. And the Cupid's bow. And I'm loving it. Okay, so what I realized I didn't use is concealer. And I haven't used concealer in a lot of these different podcasts, but I want to show you how I use concealer because it is a lot different than how a lot of these influencers show you how to use concealer. And you may be thinking, oh, but Colleen, you already did your highlight. How are you going to do concealer? That's because I do minimal concealer just to cover and conceal. So I'm going to take my Milk Makeup Flex Concealer in the shade Vanilla, which this is a more highlighty shade for me. I'm going to put it a dot right underneath the inner corner of my eye, and I'm going to just dot it there. I'm going to take my finger, a clean finger, and pat it into the areas that are dark. Just right into my dark areas here. I'm not taking it too far anywhere because I just want it to kind of brighten. I'm not going for a very, very concealed look. I want a little conceal. Just a little bit. Now, like I said, this is a brightening concealer, so this concealer is actually not my skin tone, but a tad, I almost said a smidge and then a tad together, and that doesn't work, but a tad bit lighter than my natural skin tone. And I'm taking the dots and I do just in those areas and then I take it up into the bridge of my nose because that's the area that I am the most dark and looks the most blue. I'm not color correcting today. I'm going to take my mirror, turn towards that beautiful natural light and see if I need anything else. I am going to add a smidge right inside the bridge of my nose. Like inside the sides of my nose, if that makes sense. And I'm going to just a smidge, and once again with my finger, really kind of tap that out. I do not want to tap it too far out because then I'm just taking it in every area that I don't need coverage. And I just want it in the area that I need the most coverage. And that is the best way to do your concealer. Now I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I am going to continue on the face and start off with my powder products.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, I've been going over some of the products that I have that I don't use often, and I've been using them on my face and showing you how I use them and how I use products that I have difficulty using. So, we just did the cream products on my face, and we're going to go into some powder products. Now, what I did during the break is I added a little bit of the Milk Makeup Glow Oil Lip and Cheek in the color Glimmer because I realized I didn't put any blush on. And honestly, on a normal day, I don't put blush on. And it's just, I'm trying to fall back in love with blush. So I'm going to give it a go today. So that's on there, and we're going to move on to some powder products. Ooh, my skin looks so good. I don't want to do it, but for the sake of this podcast, I am going to use powder products. So first I'm going to go into my Morphe Highlight and Contour Palette. This one has a nice big mirror, nice good big mirror. And I'm going to take a brush, shocker. I know this is the sculpting brush by Real Techniques. My great friend Kathleen gave this to me for my birthday, and I'm excited to use it because I actually have not used it yet. So I'm going to go into the color Literati? I'm not sure. It's a very, very light brown color, and I'm going to dip my brush into there, and I'm going to go over the places that I bronzed just a little bit in a tapping motion, and then I'm going to take a look at what that's looking like. It's looking okay. I don't know. It's the powder thing, so I'm going to go back into that and do the same on the other side. My hair is in the way. Okay, and we're going to do the same stamping kind of motion. I don't like the swiping motion because it can disrupt, I'm hitting everything, but it can disrupt the makeup that I've already put on underneath, so I prefer a patting motion. I'm going to take a look at that and see how I'm liking it. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. Now, we're going to let that stay there, and we're going to move on to another powder product, and this is going to be a powder highlight over the highlight that I have already set down. Now, actually, before I do that, I think I'm actually going to apply a little bit more blush, and I'm going to go into the Clown Blush palette by Likely Makeup, and I'm going to go into the color Circus, I think. It's like a deep kind of red color. I'm very lightly tapping in there. And I'm going to kind of pat over the areas that I've already put blush down, which is kind of high. up towards my eyeball, because that seems to be the thing. Do I hate this? Oh my gosh, it's there. Send help. I'm going to take my blender again and just stamp on top of that to really diffuse it. I'm not a blush person, like personally for myself. Okay, much better. Once I took my blending sponge and put that on top of it, it looks a lot better. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Really light little tap in there. I'm tapping off the excess, which I should have done on the other side. And I'm going to tap that right in that same kind of area. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to bounce and blend and bounce and blend and bounce and blend. Ooh, I'm so scared of blush on myself. Like anybody else, I'm like, go for it. I'll put so much blush on you because you look stunning. But it's just personally for me, I don't know, not as much. Oh, I look so red. Oh, help me now. See, that's the thing. Well, that's okay. We're living with it. We're going to see if we like it throughout the day. So we put that powder blush on top, and now we are done with that, and now we can move on to the powder highlight. So I took that same IT Cosmetics crease and concealer brush, and I sprayed a little bit of the e.l.f. Daily Brush Cleanser on the fluffy side that we use for blending, and I really cleaned that off. And we're going to go into my Anastasia Sun Dip Glow Kit, and we're going to go into the color Summer, which is a nice, beautiful yellowy tone. And we're going to pick that up on the brush. I am going to tap off the excess, and we're going to focus that in the same areas that we put down the cream highlight. And I'm going to do the same on the side. On the other side. Hello. I don't know why this is making me so nervous. I don't know. I think it's because I like to do makeup on other faces, and there's so much I can do on all different types of faces and whatnot, and just make these beautiful looks. But for some reason, a lot of the looks on me I feel a little nervous about. So I'm turning towards my window, and I'm actually really liking the way that this is looking. I still don't know how I feel about the blush. We'll keep you updated. I will, because I'm not sure. Maybe we'll add a little more highlight, because I am a highlight junkie. And we're going to step back into that Summer shade, add a little more on just the really high points to kind of do that. And I like to use a fluffier brush for highlight to really diffuse the edges, because I don't want a really noticeable stripe. That's why I'm using the same one. And I'm showing you that you really don't need a million brushes to do everything, but this does help. It does help to have an actual good brush for that. I'm liking the way this is looking, and oh man, it's not emphasizing my texture as much as it usually did, but it still kind of is. That's why I really do prefer a creamier, more cream highlight. Man, it's the blush. The blush is throwing me off. That's what it is. It's always the blush. It's always gonna be the blush that throws me off. I'm just not a blush girl. What can I say? So we're gonna take a little bit of that same Summer color and add it on the other places that I highlighted a little bit in between my eyebrows, which is a place that catches light for me, a little on the forehead, on both sides of the forehead. I don't do it in the center. I do it above the brow, just because that's the place that catches the most light. And then we're going to do the tiniest little bit in my Cupid's bow. If you don't know what your Cupid's bow is, it's that little, it's the part of your lip right in the center that makes that kind of M shape. It's right in there is your Cupid's bow. Easy to find. You see it every day, I promise you do. So I'm really going to take a close-up look with a mirror at this. I think I'm going to use the mirror in the Morphe palette. This mirror is just really good quality and really large, and so I'm going to take a good close look at what I'm looking like. I'm not looking too powdery, which is my jam, and I think I'm looking okay. The highlight looks fine. The contoury bronzer shade looks okay. And I'm liking the way that we are looking here. But I am going to take my setting spray and definitely spray all over my face and to really kind of sink those powders into my face, since I don't want a powdery look and your face can kind of dry out throughout the day. So I'm going to do that before we move on to anything else, just so I have a chance for some more hydration. Now I'm going to take a quick break and do that, and when we come back, we're going to finish up the rest of the face and take a good look at it and decide how we are feeling as a whole.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, I've been doing makeup on myself with products that I've had for a while that I just don't gravitate towards much more, and also products that I've had issues with in the past that I am trying again. So we've got our base, we've got our eyes. During the break, I did spray my face with the Dewy Finish long-lasting setting spray from NYX, and I added some Milk Kush mascara, and then we're on to lips, man. I've taken a good look up close at my face a good few times already, and I'm gonna look at it now with my Morphe mirror, and I'm looking actually really good. I'm liking the way it looks. The setting spray really helped kind of melt everything together with any of the powder products I used. I would have done an eyeliner look with this look, but I didn't really want to hide all the work that I'd done, since this palette did kind of give me a little bit of issues. It's still looking not the best underneath my eyes. I wish it was a little better, but that's just my personal preference. I'm nitpicky. I'm very nitpicky when it comes to this kind of stuff. So let's move on to lips. I have a little basket full of lip products, and I'm going to try and see what I can't find in here. But let's do lip liner. I never do lip liner. So I have, this is Boldly Bare Lip Pencil by MAC, and I'm going to line my lips. If it'll show up. It's a very light, pale color, kind of close to my skin tone, and this is just going to help kind of keep my lip on all day. I usually like a very blotted lip if you've been with me before, and this isn't the way I don't normally do it. Usually I don't use a lip liner and I just go straight for it because I want a really blown out look lip-wise. So I'm going to spare you this lip liner. I've already pretty much done my lip liner, but I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks to doing lip liner. So you really want to anchor your elbow down on something with the hand that you're drawing with. I want you to put your hand underneath your chin and then kind of use that as a stabilizer, or you can use your other hand with your elbow firmly placed on something that's not going to move and kind of hold it there and use that to really hold your face in place as you go along your lines. I am not overdrawing at all. I did not. I really just went around my natural lip line. I took my time. That's a big thing. You really got to take your time when it comes to this. Now I'm going to take this and kind of fill in What's left here, not a lot, because it's going to make my lips kind of dry. Just kind of along that line a little bit to the inner area. I don't want dry lips. And I have a small upper lip, so I don't need to line a lot inwards with that. I don't have a desirable lip shape. I got a tiny little lips. Tiny little lips. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's move on. So let's pick a lip color. I'm going to go into this box that I have on my lap and go through a few lip colors. I'm just going to pull some out. We have Mrs. Norris from this Sophia Nygaard X ColourPop collection. This is very gray and not going to go with my look, so I'm going to put that back. I'm going to pick up a lot of these Sophia Nygaard X ColourPop collection ones since they're right here. It's a nice little nude, but it might not go. That's Bikini Bottom, but I'll keep that one out. My best advice for this is to pull it out and just hold it in front of your lips and look at your eye color and all your face color in conjunction. This is a green lipstick. This is the color Bruce. This is not going to go with my look. And let's see. The last one is Screamer. I believe this is a deep purpley color. That might go. Now, I also have this beautiful color by Jeffree Star, and this is Family Jewels. Family Jewels might be the best color that I'm seeing. We could go for Soul Sucker, but this is a black with orange glitter in it, so I don't think we're going to go for that color. Let me find the last ColourPop color that I have, because that one might go the best with this too. Alright, I found it, and this is the color Fred. It is a beautiful red. Should we go red today? I always talk about it. So I'm going to put this color on. I'm just going to fill in my lips. I'm not doing any actually drawing to the outer lip line because I've already lined my lips. So here we go. Is this a matte formula? This might make my lips so dry. Okay, so I put it on, and I'm going to turn towards the window to really see if this is the right color for this look. It might not be. I don't think this is the color for this look. It's too much, I don't know, it's too bright to contrast with my eyes today. So I think I'm going to move to a different color, and I'm going to take this off. Ooh, there we go. So this is a Neutrogena little wipe in the tiniest little package ever. I have a bunch of these little tiny Neutrogena wipes. I like these for taking my lip makeup off. I'm going to take this off, and then I'm going to put on a different color. Alright, so it's off. It's off, and it has semi-stained my lips a little bit, and it's given me that blotted look. So I think we're going blotted look today. Sorry guys. I was going to just keep going with whatever colors, but I feel like this is going to be the best, and we'll add something fun on top of it to be the best. To be the best. We want to be the best. So I'm going to go in with the Permanent Popsicle Lip Juice Stain from the Creme Shop, whatever you call it. This is in my Target one. I tell you, these Target products are making it into my everyday products, and I love everything about them. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it on the center of my lips in a line. And I'm going to pat that out with my finger to make it look like I just ate a popsicle. This is my favorite look. I don't know. It's so pretty. It's just stunning. I'm going to add a little more to up the pigment. That's what I like about this, is I can kind of build, as you've kind of noticed throughout this entire podcast, is building is my thing. Like, just building up the product eye-wise, building up the product face-wise, lip-wise. Just being able to build up to a more opaque color in general is I find a lot better, because I have more control in the exact color and the exact pigmentation that I'm getting out of it. So one more time, here we go. In the center of the lip, and then blot, and then take the finger and rub it around. Bring it around town. There we go. That's beautiful. I love the way this looks. This is just stunning. I love it so much. We're looking real pretty, real nice. Now let's add something fun to it, like I said, so we're not 100%, just doing my own makeup routine. And we're going to take this Jeffree Star, it's like a bullet lipstick. Man, the color's so bright on the tag. It's called Glazed. And it's literally just sparkle in a lipstick. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that over this. And really kind of blend that in. There we go. Now we've got this sparkly popsicle thing on my lips. And I'm going to take a look in my mirror towards the sun. Or lack thereof, because it is raining outside. And I love the way this looks. Okay, so this turned out better than I thought. I think that's pretty much all we've got for this look in general. I've tried a lot of products that I haven't used in a very long time. I'm liking the eye look, having a little bit of issue with what's underneath. It just didn't blend out the way I wanted it to, and that's okay. Not sure how I'm feeling about the blush. Maybe falling in love with it a little bit, but not sure. The powder highlight looks great after I sprayed it, and the contour is perfectly fine. And now I'm going to actually do one last thing before we go here. And I'm going to take the Cream Shop Faux Freckle stamp, but I'm not going to faux freckle. I'm going to take the little heart that's on the end and put that right here underneath my eye. And there it is, looking super cute. And I think that's the look. I'm going to take a photo of this once I'm done, and I'm going to post on the social medias. You can find me on Twitter at GSMC_beauty tips and on the GSMC Beauty Tips Facebook page as well. I'm always on there. I want to see your guys' looks. I want to know what you thought of this and what you think of any of this stuff. And I also just want to talk to you guys. I'm always on there, always ready to take questions or just talk. Whatever you want to do, I'm there. And I want to thank you guys so much for sitting with me through this pretty long podcast about this makeup look. I do like the way it turned out. I think it turned out very beautiful, a lot better than I thought it was going to. And once again, guys, seriously, thank you so much for listening to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and I will talk to you in the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from health and wellness to entertainment and life and happiness to sex and relationships. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast.